This studio display is a really nice little revision over Apple's last version of this monitor. I keep calling this a monitor. Everybody keeps calling this a monitor. I think we are all making a mistake here. Yes, it is a monitor, but I think that's the wrong way to think about this product. A monitor is an accessory that you plug into your computer and let you see an image. And yes, of course, it can do that. But it's better to think about the studio display as like half of an iMac, the other half being the Mac Mini or MacBook that you're plugging it into. Because inside the studio display is an A19 processor. Now, this is the latest iPhone processor, and it is there to run the FaceTime camera, the Thunderbolt ports, and the speakers. So, if you just look at this as a screen, then no, this is not a good value. But if what you need is basically a whole computer without the brain, then it starts to make a lot more sense. I have both the studio display and the XDR, and I've been using them over the last week or so, and they're both really nice. I reviewed the XDR a few days ago, so I'll link that video down below. What really struck me is that Apple is treating these products like premium products, like luxury products in some ways. From the way that the boxes are designed and it's presented to you as you pull it out down to the way you set it up and how easy it just interfaces with your Mac. After all these years and seeing so many Apple products with this brushed aluminum that other brands have come along and done the same thing with, it still looks so good. Even along the back, where I'm used to seeing on monitors just a whole plethora of ports. You got your HDMI, maybe a DVI, some USBs just for fun. Here you have 4 USB-C ports. Small, simple, elegant. 2 of those are Thunderbolt 5. One can plug directly into your Mac. You can use the other one to daisy chain to another monitor. That's pretty slick. And if you're using a MacBook, this will even charge your battery when it's plugged into the monitor itself. And then there's the specs. Although, before we get to the specs, I do want to shout out today's sponsor, me. My Learn to Draw in 60 Days course is really designed for beginners. If you've ever wanted to just learn to draw or pick up sketching as a hobby, this is a great place to start right now. You can get a discount with the code Monitor Month because it's Monitor Month around here. And that's what we're doing. To learn more about that drawing class, check out the link down below, bradzardichool.com. So, this is a 27 inches 5K LED display with a 60 Hz refresh rate. You can get it with nano-extrude glass as well for an additional $300. Now, this gets 600 nits of brightness, which is pretty solid for a monitor. I'm used to drawing tablets that only go up to like 400, and the colors on this thing look really good. It has a support for over 1 billion colors. So, how does this look as a now? This is not an OLED display. It's not a mini LED display like the XDR. So, how does it look as a monitor? Well, it's kind of great. Apple has always made really great-looking displays. I recently handed off an old Intel iMac to my brother-in-law that as I was resetting it, I couldn't get over how nice that screen looked on a 6 or 7-year-old device. As I was cleaning it out, I was like, man, I wish I could just turn this into a monitor now that I don't need the internals anymore. That's kind of how this feels. Even for an LED panels, this looks really, really good. Now, sitting next to the XDR, using it for a full week, I could see the difference when I went looking for it. I can see deeper blues in the background image. I could see the increased contrast, but when they're not next to each other, it's not nearly as noticeable as the other specs would make you think. I think where it really starts to where the XDR really starts to pull ahead is when you're talking about HDR contrast and its peak brightness, then you really see the difference. But I'm not really working much with HDR content, so it didn't affect me too much. And I think for a lot of people, actually I know for a lot of people based on the comments that 60 Hz on this display is a big deal for them. Not a big deal in a good way. They're looking for $120 Hertz like entry level for a premium display. That is their deal breaker. And you know what? I kind of feel where that's coming from here. This is a $1,600 monitor. And I think that particular spec is something ING that a lot of people are looking for. And Apple's holding back here, keeping it for the XDR to keep the value there up. And it's actually hard to find a monitor over $500 these days that doesn't have 120 Hz. Feels stingy. Now, I wasn't able to get this working on my PC, so the argument is partly mute here. The main use case for higher refresh rates on a computer, I think for me personally anyway, is basically gaming. The Mac gaming ecosystem is, it's kind of mad. There are some good games out there. I tested out a Cyberpunk, that's one that's really well known on the platform. Crimson Desert, which is a brand new release, a really powerful game too at that, to my surprise, ran on my M5 MacBook. So that's cool. But the thing with both of those games is that they're both struggling to hit 60 frames a second, even on M-series processors. I don't think there's that many games on a Mac that would need to run at over 60 frames or even could run at over 60 frames. I said this in my MacBook Pro review like 5 years ago that has a 120Hz screen. I don't notice a higher refresh rate on laptops and computers nearly as much as I do on tablets and phones. There's a lot less animation on a computer. If you're scrolling through text, you're not scrolling through quite as much text. If you're on a phone, you're scrolling a lot. There's a lot of animations. Your app is opening and closing. That buttery smoothness is something you can see and something that you notice. On a PC, I don't notice it as much. Another thing I mentioned in my XDR review that I feel obligated to say again in this one is don't get this if you aren't on a Mac. Like I said, I couldn't get it working on my PC. Technically should work. I just didn't fiddle around with it enough. And I felt like you're giving up so many of the features that come on this. Whether we're talking about that FaceTime camera or the speakers or all the things that make this a better value, you're throwing away when you plug it into something that's not a Mac. Now, the big difference between the Studio Display and the XDR are the color reference modes available on the XDR that are not here. The mini LED on the XDR lets the blacks get darker by being able to basically turn off the backlights for small segments of the screen. That isn't happening here. That lets the XDR blacks get darker. And of course, with the higher brightness, you can also have the whites get whiter. And those color reference modes like the full Adobe RGB wide color gambit and other color modes are really important for professional editing and designing. And for most people, they will never need those. They will never see the difference. They will never need or even change those reference modes on their monitors. Even without those modes though, plugging this into a MacBook into this display is so nice. The color accuracy between Apple's newer MacBooks, their displays, and this display is incredible. If you've ever plugged a monitor into a laptop and pulled an image from one screen to another, you know what I'm talking about. It's very hard to get a consistent image, consistent color, consistent just accuracy from one display to another. But if you're completely within the Mac ecosystem, you totally get that here. So, even if you're not doing like broadcast video color accuracy or print design or photography, you're still going to be able to appreciate some of those little touches here. So, I got the standard stand. It's fine. It gets the job done. It's not height adjustable. You can get that height adjustable stand for an additional $400. And I did get the chance to try it because it's a default option on the XDR model. And I liked it. I thought it was super cool. Super unnecessary, of course, but cool. I think in my XDR review, I call this over-engineered because it's a feature that's really, really cool, but other companies have figured out way cheaper ways of doing the same exact thing just as well. When you're purchasing this, you can get this with a VESA mount option if you want to put it on an arm. That is something that needs to be configured at checkout though, because as you can see from the back here, you can't just pop this thing on and off and pop the VESA mount on. This is not a DIY situation. This stand is part of the back of the monitor. Now, I'm a little late to the party here. A lot of people have reviews this and talk about this like a month ago, and one thing I saw a lot, maybe like reading between the lines a little bit, was the specs don't line up with the price. Who is this for? And when I read those comments, I thought, I know exactly who this is for. This is for me, but me like 10 years ago or a lot of my friends right now. My last job before going independent and doing this whole YouTube thing, I worked at a web development agency and one of the co-founders and I designed our new office place. It was a fun project. We were picking out office chairs and desks and we got to pick out the carpet. We were at the end of this like large office building, so there were like just big windows surrounding every side of the office. There's a lot of natural light, some breakout rooms. It was a really cool space, and it killed us. It absolutely killed us to take all this beautiful furniture in this well-designed office place and just slap a bunch of like cheap plastic-looking Dell monitors onto those desks. Now, those monitors were fine. The displays themselves looked good. They got the job done, but like they were thick black plastic. This is what we wanted. We didn't need high-end Studio Display XDRs or even the more expensive predecessor, the Pro Display XDR that the XDR is replacing. We didn't need something that expensive, but just like the standard studio display. We wanted this. We wanted monitors that fit the aesthetics of the office. We were willing to pay more to get that. Not thousands more like the XDR. That was way too much, but a few hundred more. Yeah, absolutely. And for some of you, design and aesthetics is a really stupid reason to buy a piece of gear. I totally get that. But for me, and a lot of designers I work with, we're spending a lot of money on our setups. We want them to look good, too. And that's something that gets lost in a lot of the online discourse here. And looking at this display with all the talk about nits and brightness and refresh rate, if you have a really nice office space, your monitor is a big focal point. It's the biggest thing on your desk. It's the thing people see when they walk in. The outside of that monitor looking good was important to us. We wanted it to match the space. This is why people buy custom keyboards and keycaps and get desk mats. And some people don't care. I get that. But a lot of people do. Now, the good news is over the last decade or so, a lot of companies have really caught up with Apple in terms of visual product design. I still think Apple-like is a little bit special in that category. But now you can find monitors that aren't cheap looking in plastic. Maybe not quite the same build quality, but not ugly. And in fact, in the next few weeks, I'm going to be checking out some of those alternatives to the studio display in particular. I've got some 5K monitors from BenQ. I got another one from Asus coming in pretty soon. So hit subscribe down below to see that. But in general, those are my thoughts on the studio display. I think it's a really good monitor. I think for a lot of people, it is going to be overpriced. But if you understand what you're getting, if you understand really you're buying kind of like half of a Mac, or if what you want is the design and the ecosystem and you want it to all fit together, I think it makes a lot of sense. It just doesn't make sense if you're just looking at a bunch of specs on a piece of paper and going from that. But what do you think? Let me know down below in the comments. Thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you in a couple of